Technology is great. It's fun. Everyone loves it. I will sing a song because Andrea dances when I sing. And it's bad positive reinforcement because it'll make me continue to sing. Yeah. Yeah, girl.
What's good, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the What's Good Games podcast. Your source for video game news, commentary, analysis, and funny stuff. I'm your host, Andrea Renee, joined by my co-host, as always, Miss Brittney Brombacher.
Hello.
Welcome to the show. And today we have a very special guest. We have Miss Kimberley Wallace. Welcome.
Hello.
Yay.
It's about time, right?
Heck yeah. We're so excited that you are here. Folks who are listening or watching might recognize Miss KSTAR from Game Informer. She's worked in the video games industry for a while, and we've ran into each other at so many different shows over the years. It's such a pleasure to finally have you on What's Good Games so we can finally chit-chat about video games together.
I love it. Let's do it.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
You.
So before the show began...
Oh, thank you.
Oh, wait, what'd you say, Britt?
I said that we love Kim. And also, we've had a lot of fan requests, listener requests to have you on the show. So it's wonderful.
Oh, wow. That's
yeah, girl.
great.
Yeah, you're kind of a big deal. Just putting that out there.
Oh, I don't know about that, but...
Okay, ladies. I mean, she is a big deal. I got caught up for a second because I had a minor technical glitch on my end with my Stream Deck, but everything seems to be working properly.
Oh, this show, man. If it doesn't turn into a dumpster truck of fire after, I'll be happy.
It's okay, though. So we are all having some beverages this evening. I'm drinking mine from my What's Good Games mug. Brittney has her very on-brand whiskey. And Kim, what kind of glass are you drinking out of?
Oh, Nightmare Before Christmas glass.
Nice.
I try to show it off better, but...
It's cute.
Yeah, it's my favorite.
I'm into it. So we are going...
It's actually the glass I picked because it would hold the most, but,
See?
you know, who's keeping track?
I knew we were cut from the same cloth. This is fun. This is going to be amazing. So before we got started, Britt and I were talking about how we both have water to, like, pace ourselves. And Kim was like, what? Water? Who needs water?
Amateurs.
But we're going to go ahead and get started with some news. You guys may have noticed that we missed a couple big news items last week. Sorry about that. We're going to talk about Red Dead Redemption a little bit later on in the segment. But I do want to remind you guys, if you like what we do here on What's Good Games, you can choose to support us in a variety of ways. One way is to maybe hit that subscribe button over on youtube.com/whatsgoodgames. Or maybe you give us a like or a follow on facebook.com/whatsgoodgames or twitter.com/whatsgood_games. Or if you want to go the extra mile and think that this show really helps improve your life, you could maybe toss us $1 or a couple of dollars over at patreon.com/whatsgoodgames. We have some fun February exclusive Patreon content coming your way for our awesome patrons. We talk about some of our favorite video game romances in the secret segment. Ooh. And Britt and I give a special, very much requested behind the scenes studio tour of the space that we record in here in the Bay Area, San Francisco. So if you guys want to check those out, you of course have to be part of the awesome crew over at patreon.com/whatsgoodgames. Food for thought. Think about it. But for now, the news. We're going to start with a rumor. No, it's not confirmed, but let's be honest, it's probably going to be very soon.
Yeah.
Call of Duty Black Ops 4 is coming this year. So over at Eurogamer, they have some sources, and I'm going to read what they wrote up. They say, Black Ops 4 is in development at Treyarch, of course, the Activision studio behind the 3 other Black Ops games, and as you'd expect, is due to launch late in the year. The Black Ops storyline so far has covered the Cold War, the near future, and a further time period in 2065. In particular, Black Ops 3 had a fully sci-fi focus, something which Black Ops 4 will dial back to better fit the series' recent desire for a more grounded feeling, in response to the negative feedback surrounding 2016's space set Infinite Warfare. Word of Black Ops 4 first appeared online this week in a Twitter post from self-styled industry insider Marcus Sellers. In a series of posts made over the past few days, Sellers also referenced a Nintendo Switch version of Black Ops 4 was in development, a detail we are still working to verify. His tweet said, sorry, beer burps. COD 2018 is Black Ops 4 and is coming to PS4, Xbox, PC, Switch. It is set in the modern times and is boots on the ground. The Switch version will support DLC, HD Rumble, and motion controls. The Switch version is also being ported by a company which is familiar with COD games. Sellers also posted word of fellow Activision published Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, which is rumored to be getting a follow-up. So, ladies, is this shocking to you, or did you see this coming a mile away?
I saw this coming a mile away.
I mean, it's the part of the developer cycle, and Black Ops 3 came out in 2015. 3 years later, we're here in 2018. It just kind of makes sense. I guess the exciting part is it's coming to Nintendo Switch, if that's the thing you're excited about.
Well,
Kim, I saw you shaking your head during that.
Here's the thing, those games just never do well on that type of platform. Because the versions never really measure up with what the, PS4, Xbox, whatever can do. And then on top of it, just like Nintendo's online and chat stuff is still, kind of is what it is right now.
Yeah, well, it's supposed to be fully launched, their online service, by the time Call of Duty supposedly comes out. And Call of Duty has a history on Nintendo consoles in the past. I believe Black Ops 2 was the last Black Ops that was on Nintendo. I believe it was on the Wii U, but Ghosts, I think, was the final Call of Duty that was on Nintendo systems until maybe now. I mean, it would make sense.
But how many people did you hear say, I want to play that on my Wii U?
That's a fair point. Nobody. Everybody I knew that was playing Call of Duty was playing it on Xbox, because back then they still had the partnership with Microsoft. Mm-hmm. That was before PlayStation took over that exclusive content partnership in the transition, which happened, I think, 2 years ago is when they kind of flip-flopped and PlayStation became like the Call of Duty first console. But, I mean, it makes sense because Activision has the money to port it to Nintendo, and Nintendo is having a really great run right now, and I don't think that they being Activision cares if they don't sell as many copies on Switch, as long as they sell enough to cover their costs and to make a profit, because I feel like Activision is like profits.
Yeah, if I'm going to play a Call of Duty game, though, I'm definitely not going to get it for the Switch. And I think the reason why is because obviously like the PlayStation and Xbox One are just so much more powerful. Someone could make that argument that like, hey, you can take Call of Duty on the go. But I would be hesitant to see how that game even looks in portable mode, or what is it called? Portable mode.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like even playing Xenoblade Chronicles 2 on it, I noticed an absolute dip in the frame rate and the resolution and whatever. But that's the nature of the beast. I'm hoping that this campaign, like Black Ops 3, is co-op again. I really like that.
Me too. I really like that as well. And I'm with you, Britt, that obviously this isn't going to be the best place to play this game. I actually was talking about this on Games Daily earlier this week about how I feel like I've had this revelation. The revelation being I'm looking at Nintendo Switch the way PC players looked at PlayStation and Xbox players, being like, why would you want to play it over there when you know it's going to play better on PC? Like, clearly, like, the PC is the superior place to play your games. And that's how I look at Switch now, and I don't know how this happened. I have now become part of the console master race, if that's even a thing, because it's not, because the PC master race still exists. Now, PC players are probably looking at Switch going, oh yeah, that's child's play, Avi. They probably wouldn't say Avi, let's be honest.
That's totally what they're saying.
I mean, it makes sense, though. The Switch just isn't nearly as powerful. So when you're going to have a game like Call of Duty, and those campaigns are super cinematic, super graphic intensive, like for me, I want to see the best of the best. I want to see it in that shiny 4K sexiness. However, other games like Lost Sphere or Night in the Woods or whatever, I'm looking forward to playing that on my Switch, because I know the little portability shindig can handle that, and then off I go with it on the airplane when I travel. So there's a time and a place. So I mean, I'm saying, Andrea, your argument is justified.
Switch for are games like that are still going to look good, and you're going to want to play it portably. I don't know if I'd want to play like Call of Duty on the go. I don't know. I like to sit back and focus. Got to get those kills.
Just
Oh, yeah.
chill. I get you. Well, we will definitely keep an eye on this. Obviously, Call of Duty announcements tend to leak every single year. And then they traditionally come out with their official announcement in May. I don't anticipate this being any different. So we'll keep an eye on it, and we will report back to you guys once we have official confirmation. But sounds pretty likely that Black Ops 4 is on the docket. Next up, some pretty exciting news for esports fans and really just fans of competitive gaming or video games at large. Scarlett Hostin is the first woman to win a premier StarCraft 2 tournament. So this, of course, was written up by Game Informer. Scarlett Hostin has made StarCraft 2 history by being the first woman to win a premier StarCraft 2 tournament in beating two-time WCS global champion Kim Sos-Yu Jin 4-1 at last weekend's Intel Extreme Masters Season 12 tournament in Pyeongchang, South Korea. Although a handful of women have been making a name for themselves in the StarCraft 2 scene by winning tournaments, Hostin is the first to win big at a premier tier event like IEM Pyeongchang. Previously, Hostin had won a major tier events like the 2012 Battle.net North American Championship and the 2012 World Championship Series Canadian Nationals. She is also the second foreigner to win a premier tournament in South Korea. Hostin had been performing well since her return to StarCraft in late 2015, racking up several top 8 placements at premier events in the run-up to the IEM in Pyeongchang. This is
You go, girl.
fantastic. I'm so excited to hear this because this is StarCraft in particular is one of like the deep trenches of esports. Like that scene is so niche and so hardcore that having a female break into that scene and then not only break in but win a major tournament and not just win like a close call, but she like beat him 4-1. That's awesome.
Yeah. I know close to nothing about StarCraft. I've tried to dabble in it. I've seen like those videos where like you see people, they focus on their hands and like the professional players and how you can't even like, it's like something out of Dragon Ball Z, like they're moving so fast and nothing but a blur. It's fantastic. So mad respect, girlfriend. You do what I will never be able to.
Watching StarCraft is really like watching wizardry happen like live before your eyes. And this is on the heels of some other really exciting esports news as well. Geguri is set to join Shanghai Dragons to become the first Overwatch League female player. So Overwatch League, of course, launched recently. Female players sorely missing from all of the broadcasts, and they only have like 1 or 2 female casters who work on their broadcast team. And this is a game that is all about inclusivity and about diversity and has such a fantastic community around it. It really was noticeable, the lack of diversity at Overwatch League. So let me just read a little bit of this from ESPN. South Korean Overwatch off-tank Kim Geguri Seonyeon, I bet you I totally butchered that. Apologies, Kim. Formerly of Rox Orcas, is set to join Shanghai Dragons in the Overwatch League and become the first female player to join the league. Multiple sources close to the players involved in the organization have told ESPN. Geguri's move to Dragons will not only mark the first time a female will compete in Blizzard's Overwatch League, she will be one of only a few women competing professionally in esports at the highest level of their respective game. An official announcement by the team is expected within the next few weeks. And Britt, you have a little note here.
I do have a note. So back in June of 2016, she was so good at playing, actually I'm reading my own words, so it sounds a little awkward, that's why. She was so good at playing Overwatch in a tournament that she was accused of cheating, and actually 2 other players vowed to quit esports if she proved she wasn't cheating. So she did just that even after Blizzard cleared her of any wrongdoings. She recorded herself playing for an hour, uploaded the video to YouTube, and it now has over 3 million views. And the 2 players that vowed to quit, Elta and Strobe, stayed true to their word, and they did quit. I don't know what happened after that, though. That was in 2016. But yeah, I remember this story breaking, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
I think to us, we're not surprised that she got accused of that, but it's just a symptom of a larger problem that it's so unfathomable to some of these players and to some of these people that she would be good as a female player, that she must have been cheating. There's no way that a girl could have been so good. You must have been cheating. I'm just like, you fucking kidding me right now? Makes me so angry.
Welcome.
It sucks because, like, you should prove yourself by what she does in the matches, and then that's always just not enough. Like, it has to go this extra level that it did here, which is really unfortunate.
Yeah.
Now, you play Overwatch, don't you?
A lot, yes.
I mean, she's got a diva poster in the background.
I mean, Andy challenged me to see how long I could go wearing Overwatch apparel, and I went like 2 weeks straight at work, just all Overwatch all the time. And
Andy
I could have gone
McNamara?
longer, but we had to go on winter break, so I'm a pretty big Overwatch fan. I haven't watched as much of League as I probably would want to. Like, to me, all the teams are starting to just use the same strategies over and over again, and so I'd like to see a little variation and, you know, I like that they're bringing in some new players too to accommodate. She's obviously a good player. I know the people are going to be like, oh, they just let her in because like people are giving them criticism about not having a woman. And I had heard rumors that they had actually asked her originally and she turned them down. Now I don't know if that's true or not, but that was what was said. So,
I wouldn't blame her.
And changed her mind.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame her for turning it down. I mean, because she has done interviews in the past where she's talked about how she's avoided certain tournaments and certain events and things like that because she does get so much harassment. I hope that they either are compensating her handsomely or compensating her handsomely and allowing her to, like, you know, kind of like pick and choose what she gets to do. I also hope that she recognizes what a beacon of light she is for lots of other women who are looking at her as a role model, or not even necessarily as a role model, but of somebody who did it, somebody who made it, somebody who sees themselves in her reflection and say, hey, like, I love Overwatch. I want to be a competitive player. There's no females, but now there's, you know, Geguri, and she's awesome and she's kicking ass. And while she absolutely does not like volunteer for that responsibility, it's going to fall on her shoulders regardless. And I hope that she knows, at least in the back of her mind, if she has tough days and if she has periods of time where she's doubting herself or doubting why she made the decision, that she holds on to the fact that she's going to be such an inspiration to so many female players out there, and that can get her through. So
for sure.
Fingers
I will
crossed.
send her love letters every day if that helps.
Please do, Britt.
I mean, we can do it.
Please
I
do.
will.
All right, so that is exciting news. We will cheer her on from the sidelines and hope that she does a great job. And congrats again to Scarlett on her fantastic win. So we want to talk a little bit now about a story that we missed last week. So Brittney and I almost recorded like a shoe-in segment, but we realized it would kind of upset the flow of how the show was recorded about this news. But Red Dead Redemption 2, of course, make a big splash last week, announcing their new release date, which was in fact a delay. And some people have questioned, could it be delayed again? Take-Two is here to say, nay, nay. Red Dead Redemption 2 will not be delayed again. So over on GameSpot, they did this write-up. Last week, Rockstar Games delayed Red Dead Redemption 2 for the second time, pushing the most anticipated Western to October 26th, 2018. Take-Two, the parent company of Rockstar Games, held its first earnings call since that announcement, and CEO Strauss Zelnick commented on the delay, reiterating what Rockstar said, that it needed more time to polish the game, adding some further words of his own on the news. Perhaps most notably, Zelnick said he is confident that the game won't be delayed again. Quote, the entire focus of the organization is on delivering the highest quality entertainment experiences of any kind. More often than not, we feel proud that we're able to do that. All of our labels are focused on releasing a title when they reach that apex of effort and perfection. And in this instance, Rockstar Games felt more polish was required. And naturally, we are in favor of that decision. in parentheses, to delay Red Dead Redemption 2. The date of October 26th is set, and I'm confident that it will be the release date. We are incredibly excited about it, end quote. Zelnick went on to say that Take-Two, as the company, is not driven by financial considerations as its focus. Bullshit. Quote, a genuine, not financially driven commitment to quality comes first, Zelnick said. Thankfully, we run what we believe is a highly rational, exceedingly disciplined business environment, which gives people who are creative a very safe place to do their very best work. End quote.
Both of your faces.
Yeah, no, to finish this off, in other news, Take-Two's newest earnings report showed that GTA Online continues to make lots and lots of money from microtransactions. And we also learned that GTA 5 has now shipped an astonishing 90 million copies.
Wow.
So,
I
go ahead,
think it's telling that they actually put a date on it this time. Like, it'd be more if they were just like fall, like it's pushed back to fall. But the fact that they put that date on gives me confidence. I personally am always about, it's something I feel strongly about. I want the best game possible at launch. And although, like, I encourage developers to make that decision in the moment of knowing that when their game needs more polish and work, and Rockstar has been great at delivering us, like, quality games, and I feel like, again, they will do that here. And I'm actually excited to play it in October, so I'd be excited to play it at any point, even if I got it sooner, but I don't mind that, because I feel like they never really set a date for it. They're just like, oh, spring, and so for me, it's not technically, they're not like delaying the date, but they're just delaying the season, and changing that, so.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I said when I tweeted about it when the announcement was made last week. I was basically like, they don't need to apologize. They never put like a firm date on it. They just said spring.
Yeah.
And like delaying from there only a couple more months, it's not like the end of the world. Now, if they had delayed to 2019, I think people would be a little bit more upset about it.
I could see people getting upset. Or if they delay after putting this date on here, like I really hope they hit it. But, I've seen games that do have a firm date like that. Like we saw Final Fantasy 15 had a whole event celebrating a release date. But I'm glad that they took that time and were like, hey, this game's not ready to go out. Let's just, roll back and see if we can get it in some better shape, because you look at games that do have rough launches and they sometimes do not recover. Like you look at Mass Effect Andromeda, like everybody when that came were like, this needed more time to cook in the oven.
Yeah.
And you wonder sometimes like why. I have this thing in my mind lately where I just get frustrated sometimes because I'll wait to play a game because I know it's going to be better in a few months, when it's stuff like that, when you're just like, yeah, they're good. Because I'm going to be honest with you, Andromeda made me angry because my girl's hair was like glitched up, and I spent a lot of time on that hair, and I really like that hair, and I was like, I'm like, I can't do it. I can't. Every scene she looks wrong. I just can't. So it was important to me. I'm like, I have to look at her all the time. I can't do this right now. But that's just like a funny little example I have of just like, yeah, I would rather have a game in a more I think everybody would, and I think like it is a weird place we're in where it's like we do have this great advantage where they can patch things and fix things as they get released, but I just don't like sometimes when things are launched in like not when you're kind of like scratching your head like it could have had another month even and been fine. But
right, and that's when I think the reputation gets tarnished, right? Like you said with the Andromeda. Whereas if they had delayed it, I mean, do people really get mad over game delays anymore? I don't really think we do, right?
It came out during that time when all those games were out, like Horizon, Breath of the Wild. Like, it didn't need to go out in that time period, Like, people had stuff to play. It might have been to its benefit to,
If Steimer were here, she would say it was a money-driven decision. By the way, we haven't talked about Steimer.
Oh,
Andrea.
yeah. I mean... I probably should have mentioned why she isn't here this week. Britt, you had you got a I was gonna say an SOS, but that's definitely not what it was, because she does not want help. She wants to be left alone. But she sent us a photo. So Steimer's on vacation this week. I apologize. People are like, we're like 20 minutes something in like that into the show. People are like, but wait, is Steimer coming on later?
Where's the salt? No, she sends a message, and that message is she can't be on the show tonight, but she sends her love via the sand. She is doing her scuba diving thing. She has not died. We're all very, very happy about that. She was worried about dying with her scuba diving, but she's alive. So,
Good.
like I was saying, if Steimer were here, she would say the reason Andromeda was released was probably a money decision. Let's get those
and
money
I
on
know
the
that
books.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good old Steimer.
But it kills me because, you know, as a Mass Effect fan, and I wanted to see it in its best shape possible.
No,
you know?
listen, you're preaching to the choir, Kim. We've talked about this on the show plenty of times. We all wanted more from Mass Effect Andromeda and wanted it to be the best it could be, but sadly, it was not meant to be. But I want to touch on what Strauss was talking about in this earnings call.
Mm-hmm.
As something that's, I think, important to remember. First off, of course, Rockstar has a commitment to quality and perfection. They have a reputation for putting out incredibly well done games because they have the luxury of being able to work on them as long as they need to. Because Take-Two has seen how much money they can make and has said, you do you, bro. You make us as much money as possible and take as much time as you need to make us as much money as possible. And because they are sitting on this gigantic pile of money, they, of course, can let their artists be perfectionists. They can have the highest quality because they have the luxury of time. And not every developer or every studio has that. And
yeah, that's exactly the problem.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to say that that's Rockstar's fault. I think it's actually fantastic. I think it's great that they are allowed to spend the amount of resources necessary to make the best product possible. And I wish more studios would understand that. Obviously, budgets are important. Production timelines are important. Meeting your deadlines and your milestones are all important things. But when you don't have to sweat worrying about whether or not someone's going to get laid off if the animation that you're hand crafting is going to be well received, or if people are going to be like, oh, the lip sync doesn't match the words, you know, like we were just talking about with Monster Hunter last week. But, you know, like, I think that it's great that Rockstar is in such a unique position, but for Zelnick to come out and say, not financially driven, commitment to quality comes first, is like, all right, bro, that's something you're gonna say on an earnings call because it makes you sound really good. But
well, it's like, of course he's saying that GTA5's making them all this money in the background still, so it's like,
yeah, I mean, like, hand over fist money in GTA Online.
Yeah.
It is crazy.
So yeah, they can afford to do that. But if that wasn't doing that financially, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't be saying that.
Thank you. That's exactly my point. But we are definitely excited that there is finally a date, October 26th, 2018. If Steimer were here, she would be very excited about it. But we also wanted to talk about some rumors around Red Dead Redemption 2 that came out this week. Now, these are not like the Call of Duty rumors that are very likely to become true. These are, you know, got to take these with a little bit of a grain of salt. Because,
a grain of Steimer.
Yes, because they haven't been corroborated by any other outlets that I know of. Kim, have you heard of any other outlets corroborating these rumors?
No. I know it's a tricky thing because I think even if they are true, there's Rockstar's very sensitive about any spoilers going on, you know, which is understandable. They've worked so hard on that game. They don't want to rip stuff out there that they don't want yet. So
yeah, absolutely.
I think they're in that camp too of like, I have no idea, and I'm saying this if it's true or not, but like even if that is the case, I think they're probably going to try to hold back as much and probably be pretty bummed as a whole because, like I said, we love leaks as like somebody who gets excited about games, and it's like, oh, I'm glad I finally saw that, but it really, really screws things up for their plans and what they want to show and when, especially when stuff just gets like taken that they might have not wanted to put out there.
Yeah.
It's always a tricky situation.
Yeah, indeed. And I mean, I have not really put too much I don't know, too much hope or passion or whatever you want to call it into if these rumors are true, but let me just go ahead and read them. So a website called trustedreviews.com has reported on this, saying, "We first received rumored documents in August 2017, but decided not to share them as they were unsubstantiated. Since then, a great deal of information in the documents has been validated in Red Dead Redemption 2 promotional materials. According to the notes, Red Dead Redemption 2's online component will feature Battle Royale, Revive and Survive, and Money Grab modes. Revive and Survive pits 2 teams against each other as they try and stay alive, as you could imagine. You'll have a limited amount of time to revive your teammates before they are eliminated. Finally, Money Grab features 2 teams fighting to procure bags of money in a central location. You're expected to collect and return them to your base as quickly as possible. The memo also states, much like GTA Online, players will be free to explore the open world, although it will supposedly provide far more depth than Rockstar's previous online efforts. For example, NPCs will decorate storefronts with amenities and pack things away once night comes. Apartments from GTA Online will return in the form of tents, which can be owned and upgraded by players. These are purchased in the open world and also come in a variety of different themes. Online play will include access to a number of shops and NPCs, which can provide the player with equipment and missions, and free events can also be organized outside of standard playlists like spontaneous treasure hunts and death matches. So this is a lot of detail. And what's interesting about it is that I don't even know if this level of detail is something that's going to remain the same. I think earlier we were talking about how these are unsubstantiated, but Kim, in your history reporting, would design details like this like really be available that long ago? I mean, because Game Informer does really fantastic feature stories that would include detailed dumps like this, but this seems to me like it was from too long ago.
I've heard nothing to say that this is happening or not, but the game, like, knowing everything I know, if you don't think that they're going to take cues from what happened with Grand Theft Auto Online and put it into Red Dead, they will. Of course they are, because it was profitable and people really liked it. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of this is true, because it does sound like something that could be possible for them. But at the same time, I have nothing that they've done to say that is. And Rockstar, they like to release the details when they're ready. And I feel like online's probably going to be one of the last things we hear about too, with all that and what they're going to do there.
Yeah.
Sorry, Britt, go ahead.
If this Battle Royale thing comes to be, I mean, like, I haven't played PUBG, I haven't done Fortnite Battle Royale, but, like, give me, like, Red Dead and slap anything on it, I will happily play Red Dead PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds.
I mean, that would be massive for them. Quite frankly, I'm kind of surprised that they haven't. I mean, they've instituted something similar in GTA Online, but not quite. But, I mean, if you remember when GTA 5 launched, it was kind of a big kerfluffle that GTA Online wasn't ready. And it was supposed to be ready like a month afterwards, and then it wasn't. And then heists took forever to be implemented into GTA Online. And they took their sweet time rolling out all the online features. But of course, once they finally did, I mean, look where GTA Online is now. They had their biggest month in December 2017.
It is amazing to see that still spiking like so high for them. People really get into it. Yeah, so as I said, I think Rockstar's absolutely going to have online components that, could or could not be this. I'd like them to kind of reinvent it, though, and do something unexpected like the Battle Royale mode. Like, I kind of do hope that's true, or, for them anyways, or even their own unique mode that just, like, deals kind of with the Wild West. They have such a great setting, make something cool out of it.
Here's a question, because like in PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds and in Fortnite, they all get dropped out of like aircraft, or I don't know, is it a blimp in Fortnite? Or no, what did they get dropped out of in Fortnite?
It's a helicopter, isn't it?
Helicopter. So what the hell are these cowboys gonna be dropped out of?
Horses.
A hot air balloon?
Horse. A hot air balloon.
Did they have hot air balloons back then? Yeah, they must have, right?
I guess a hot air balloon would work. I guess it would. I'm just kidding. Like, the only thing I could see them is riding in on horses and having that be it. I
like flying horses better.
I'm literally Wikipediaing hot air balloon right now. The first untethered manned hot air balloon flight was performed in 1783. So yes, they did.
hot air balloon with horses in it.
Mind blowing.
Okay,
We might be onto something here, guys.
Are they gonna put their horses?
We're onto it.
Horses in the hot air balloon, and then the horses.
Oh yes, no, they have
and
to
the
be
cowboy
with
strap.
Oh my gosh,
my
no,
God.
no, you call the horse once you're on the ground. Oh my gosh, no, horses in the hot air balloon? Imagine if they pooed up there. It would stink for everybody.
That's your only concern if they poo.
I mean, put blinders on, they'll be fine.
I mean, horse poo is pretty big.
Yeah.
Right? See, this is
We
a
have those
concern I
horse
have.
carriages that go around my city, and I hate it because I'm just like, oh god.
Not to derail too much here, but I live in a neighborhood and everyone has a lot of land, and there's a horse that 2 years ago it pooed right in front of our driveway, and to this day that poo is still there. Like it's like 15 feet off of our driveway. That shit does not decompose. It literally just sits there, and it's been there. It's been through winters and summers, and it's still there. Blows my mind. That's all, ladies and
So
gentlemen.
maybe Andrea was right that is a big concern.
These are the challenges of our time, you guys. Feces.
Who knows? Cheers.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, we are definitely interested and excited about getting more details about Red Dead Redemption 2. We are hoping to be in contact with Rockstar and give you guys up-to-date impressions as soon as they let us. I have to imagine they're probably not going to do too much in the way of hands-on before E3. But then again, Rockstar hasn't really played a part at E3 for quite some time. They really marched to the beat of their own drum as far as like, hey, we're going to pick and choose when and where we want to show our games. But I would love to see them at E3 because tickets are being sold to the public, which, by the way, in case you missed the announcement, E3 tickets are going on sale on February 12th at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. The first 1,000 tickets for $150. After that, the price jumps to $250. Those first 1,000 tickets sold out day one last year. So if you want to get your hands on the cheaper ticket, you really got to get your login finger ready to go. But it did take them 3 months to sell out all of the other like 15,000 tickets, I believe it was. They haven't announced if there's going to be a cap on tickets this year, but that came out. We didn't make it its own news story, but something worth mentioning for sure. Kim, how did you, as somebody who's been to E3 several times, how did you feel about tickets being available to the public last year?
Honestly, I just felt like I'm glad that people get to go to E3, the public, because it is such a great show and it's exciting. I remember my first E3, even as press, was just like, wow. And now I'm on like 8 or 9, and so it's not as much. But for them, I felt kind of bad because they spent all these money on tickets. I don't know how many games people got to play. Those lines were crazy, you know. And then I kind of just felt bad. Like, I don't know. I'm a very like empathetic person, so I feel bad at anything. But I just watched those lines, and I just was like, that's not gonna be fair to them. But people stood in them and they waited and they knew what they were getting into. And I just really wonder at the end of the day, how many games did they actually get to play? And I know for me, it was more chaotic of a show, that's for sure. Just like I remember strolling up and just seeing the long lines and just trying to get out there, and it's like, wow. But you know what, I think having like enthusiasts there, like there is that passion, and I like to see that. Like sometimes that's missing, and I think we all do this, and the people who come to those shows obviously really love games, and so it's like it's cool that they're there to share that in a way. I feel like E3 did not organize it well to have all those people, and that's where my fault. It's not that I'm mad that like public is allowed in. It's more that like they need to be a little bit better with how they construct those lines and everything else. So
yeah, I agree with you. I think something I've noticed among my peers is we all like to complain when it's time for E3. Oh, E3 is here. Because it is a lot of work. And we do bust our asses off if you're working E3, as you should. But it is really refreshing to have that energy there. I mean, E3 is a lot of work. And, I don't want to, lie and say, there's like maybe like a 1% part of me that's like, all right, I'm back to like a week of 2-hour, 3-hour night sleeps, and the rest of it's like go, go, go. But the energy, and I still get so excited being there because I also remember what it's like. And, you know, I earned my first badge when I was doing my own website, and it was like the most exciting thing ever. And the barrier to entry is much tougher than it was 4 or 5 years ago. And so if this is how people can experience E3, maybe this gives them a little fire under their ass to, you know, get more motivated so they can earn that media badge. I'm all for it. My appointments are typically behind the doors, so like, you know, I don't have to navigate the halls too much, but it was pretty crowded. So hopefully, and didn't they have the E3 Coliseum too?
Yeah, so I mean, this was another announcement. So in addition to the badges going on sale, the Coliseum is returning for all 3 days of E3 this year instead of the single day that it was last year, which is exciting. Producer Jeff Keighley returning. He did a fantastic job with the content last year. I hosted for Square Enix with the team from Deck 9 for Life is Strange Before the Storm. They, of course, announced that game at E3 last year, which is crazy to think that they announced it and then released the whole series all in 2017, which is awesome. I agree with you, Kim, in that the organizers, the ESA, made some major missteps with how they handled just that many bodies in the convention center in Los Angeles. And hopefully they learned a lot of lessons. And
I hope so.
They will take some hints from people like ReedPop and PAX, who run their conventions very smoothly. And put some better systems in place. But the way that I think about E3 is like, think about a major theme park. You're not going to try to go stand in line for Space Mountain all 3 days, right? Like, you're going to go and like spend your time hitting a bunch of the smaller rides, and then you're going to commit the time, you know, to be there in line for how long you need to, that one dedicated space.
E3 fast passes.
Oh my gosh, that would be incredible if they could do a fast pass system at E3. Get on it, ESA. I believe in you. But I think that there's so much to see that people forget about. You know, you've got the indie mega booth at E3 now. You've got lots of smaller AA and indie games. You've got all of the stuff that's outside the convention center, places like Devolver, places like EA Play, the concert series, the food trucks. PlayStation always does a hands-on thing outside of the convention center as well. And so there's a lot of stuff to see, and a lot of spectacle to see just around the convention. Sure, are the biggest games going to have the longest wait times? Absolutely.
Of course.
But I think just being there, being in the room is enough value to people that they're willing to spend money on the ticket.
And truly, you could just stand back and watch. I mean, I've done this when I was just going when I was doing PAX, I would just watch people play, because it's like I feel like you can get a good idea like of what the game looks like. Because, you know, if you're at E3, like chances are that game that you're really excited about that was just announced, it might be there in some playable fashion, or there's something going on, and you can just watch people play around with it, and that's exciting enough. It's like the atmosphere, the loud sound, this music, the lights, it's really cool. I want E3 now. I'm excited for it.
And if you guys are planning to come to E3, you'll get to see us. We are working on some stuff. We can't quite talk about what it's going to be yet because it's still very far away. But we'll be back at E3. And we, you know, maybe if we get enough interest, we could put together some kind of a fan get-together at E3.
Oh, yeah.
That could be really fun. So let us know if you guys are planning on coming. You can tweet to us, message us on Facebook, write into us. We'd love to hear from you about what you think about E3 and if you think it's worth going to. We were going to talk about the layoffs that happened at Capcom Vancouver. You know, our thoughts are with everyone who lost their jobs there, but there's really not a whole lot to discuss there outside of the fact that clearly Dead Rising was struggling, but the series isn't going away. We, of course, will keep an eye on what's happening over there. But if you guys want to learn all about what happened behind the scenes there, Jason Schreier over at Kotaku has a lengthy write-up. But we're going to go ahead and end the first segment and take a short break while we prepare for some hands-on with Miss KSTAR. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. This is the second segment of the What's Good Games podcast. This is where we talk about our hands-on impressions about what we've been playing. And I have to be honest, I've only been playing Monster Hunter World. So,
Girl.
Kim, you've been playing this as
Same.
well. Britt's been playing. Everyone's been playing.
It's taken over my life. Like, all I go home and I want to catch the monster, capture it, like, get my
you
new
kill them?
armor.
Do you kill them or do you
Yeah.
actually? Oh, okay. Well, you said capture.
I capture too. Capture, you get better stuff, but it's harder to do. And some days I just don't have patience for that. But, you know,
Yeah.
I got
So-
really pissed because I got a new armor set. Like, I had this really pretty butterfly armor, and then I found this helmet that was super nice. And then all of a sudden, like, well, not this super nice, that was like gonna raise all my stats. And then I put it on my girl, and I was like, oh, that's not. I can't even look at her. So then I had to turn off the helmet setting because it pissed me off so much. Like, I just couldn't handle it. I wanted the perks of the upgrade, but I couldn't handle it.
Yeah, my character looks very bad right now. I have I think it's the Raytheon armor, but then I have this like super bright butterfly skirt, and it just looks so
The
freaking
butterflies
awkward.
are so, yeah,
I'm
it's so-
waiting. I'm waiting to craft the butterfly armor set until I have enough great hornflies to craft the entire set. I can't just do one piece. And so I've been I've been cultivating the honey, and I've been using the summoner jelly, and I'm caravanning around caravanning. That's probably not the word I want to use. Gallivanting? That's probably a better word.
Yeah.
Around the Coral Highlands, like trying to find them, but like I want to wait, but I'm super excited about the butterfly armor set. I do have a full set of the Tada Kadachi. Is that what it is?
Mhm.
Toma Kadachi?
Well, I found out from a friend, and I was like, he's like, Kim, you're not supposed to like have the full sets. Like, it's better to have stuff from all different ones because then you raise your affinities to different things. And I was like, no. I was like, I want to get the whole damn set. Like, it's an outfit, man. Like, I don't want to miss. Like, we're taught we should match. Like, I
Oh.
don't know. It pisses
My
me off.
character has no shame. I am the most ridiculous.
Well, you should
looking
see.
human.
You should see the ugly helmet I have that has like a jaw thing on my face to go from pretty butterfly girl to that. Like I said,
Yeah.
I had to turn off, and you can turn off the helmet armor. Thank you to everyone on Twitter who let me know when I was complaining about it yesterday, because I couldn't even handle. I just kept looking at my girl and yelling. I was in a party with a bunch of friends. I'm like, but she's so ugly now. I can't take it.
So Andrea, has the game grown on you? Because it's surprising that's all you've been playing.
Yeah, so last week on the show, and thank you to everybody who reached out and wrote in, who felt the same way I did, that has compassion and empathy and was like, these limping monsters don't deserve to die. We're in their home. We're chasing them down. They're retreating to their nest. They're running away. They're saying, okay, I'm done. I don't want to fight you. They run away, and then we chase them down just to slaughter them in their home because we are
Excuse
Neanderthals.
me, part of the Monster Hunters Guild, we are controlling the monster population and ensuring that the species continues on. Please. It's
Okay.
in the Wikipedia.
Listen, I come from a family of hunters. I'm from North Dakota. Don't forget, I remind everybody on the show that my dad goes deer hunting with his valid licenses every single year. It is part of our family tradition. So I get that, because thinning populations is an actual thing. Any real hunter who has ethics will tell you this. But this feels more like big game hunting. This feels like going to Africa and killing a lion and then taking a photo with the lion and being like, we're thinning the population. And I'm like, but I don't think lion populations need to be thinned, actually. I think they're fine. That's what Monster Hunter feels like. It doesn't feel like we're thinning a pack of
monsters aren't
gazelles.
real.
But I get
What?
what you're saying, Britt. There are
But monsters aren't real.
I know.
Like, if this was a dog or anything, like, I can't handle dogs getting tortured in video games. Like, that drives me nuts. But I'm just like, yeah, it's a dino.
Looking
Like,
at you, Wolfenstein.
He's
Oh.
attacking. Oh my god, I hated that. Thank you. Like, that scene was very hard for me. I started that opening and was like, I don't know if I want to play on right now. But going back to Monster Hunter, I mean, some of these monsters are downright vicious. They're having turf wars with other monsters. There are so many who have been mean to me that I was minding my own damn business and they went after me, okay? So for me, personally, I don't know. I look at it, it's like the game is Monster Hunter, right? Like, I do get like the limping is a little much sometimes. That's how you know how to capture it. I mean,
Always be
how else are
capturing.
you gonna know?
ABCs.
They just need to pop a few leave and they'll be fine.
Papa Fuel.
And think about this too. Why do they just keep coming back then? If we're really killing them, why can I do multiple quests to fight the same monster over and over again?
Well, maybe they don't realize that you've killed their buddies. I do want to touch on what you said was a good point, is the monsters killing others, because what a sight to behold the first time you see a Rathian pick up an Angerath in its mouth and like shake it around, and you're like, whoa, that's
I always just
crazy.
I stop during battle and just watch that. Like, I'll be in the middle and a turf war will go on and I'm just like, whoa, this is pretty cool. Maybe I shouldn't say that because it's vicious, but just seeing it in front of you, these two large beasts just going at it, it's one of my favorite parts of the game, is the unpredictability of never knowing what's going to happen. I think it's good that it takes you by surprise. And then sometimes you're just like, all right, I'm just going to let them duke it out for a while. They can, take out their own energy and I'll just reap the benefits later.
I turn around and haul ass. I get the hell out of there. I find a bush and I lurk and I watch from a very, very safe distance.
I lurk.
I lurk because I'm not about to get involved in that. So I play a lot of Monster Hunter with Jason, my husband, and so he likes to get right up in the grill, like right at the middle of that fight. He'll like, oh, I'm taking, and he'll like shoot his little puny bow, like pew 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 at like the Rathian, and then the little Rathian just turns around and goes after him, and then he dies. And like, that's what you get. Those are two big dinosaurs fighting. You are not about to throw yourself in the middle of that fight. And I just lurk.
Andrenath is always freaking bothering me. I'm just like, I'm done with him at this point. I'm like, you have not learned boundaries and that I don't want to fight you, but you think I do. And like, it's a dominance thing. And like, you know what? My little hunter girl has something to prove, I guess. And that's just how I look at it. I don't know. I have a lot of fun with the game. It's hard for me because I was never, I could never understand why people like Monster Hunter so much because, especially when it's on handheld, like those controls were really rough and I just could never get into it. And I made a comment to my fiance the other day. I was like, I'm surprised how into Monster Hunter I am because it's all I want to play is like, I'm not, Kim. All you do is collect shit in every game that we play. I want to just see what you can do and craft with it. I was like, I guess it makes sense. I guess.
No, it is really relaxing to just kind of like do an expedition and just wander around because you get that satisfaction of leveling up like your tracking skills and gathering all of the ingredients, and you feel like you're being productive. So I get it. It's a relaxing game to kind of just get lost in until you come across.
Yeah, and I think it's worth noting that how awesome it is that they allow you to pair up with people who are in different regions. So I like responding to other people's SOS flares. I think it's a really easy way to pick up rewards because sometimes it'll drop you into their quest when they are almost done killing the monster, and then you land a couple shots and bam, it's over. But there was this one quest. So the first time I got to the Angerath, I was like, I'm not even fronting. I'm putting that SOS flare up right away. I'm not going to try to take this guy down by myself. I want people to come in. And they kept trying to chat with me using the in-game preset chat options, which, by the way, I went in and customized mine. Hopefully someday someone will see how awesome my customizations are. And that somebody was typing in German, somebody was speaking in Japanese, and I was like, I don't know what you're saying, but we're killing this monster together, and it's going to be great. And that's been a really fun, exciting experience for me with Monster Hunter, is going and responding to other people's SOS flares to just like jump into their missions and help them with whatever quest they're on. So it's a really cool feature.
Funny story.
It's called an Angerath. It's not an Andrenath. Angerath.
Am I adding an extra syllable somewhere? Well, pardon me from this made-up Monster Hunter language. Jeez.
No, I have a funny story with that. Actually, the first night that I tried out, and I was so out of my element because it's a game that's intimidating and it's a little scary to go into by yourself. And I remember I just joined an online session and all these people were speaking in Japanese and I was like, "Oh my God, what did I do? Did I do something wrong? Like, am I in the wrong region?" And I just was like, "This is really freaking cool. Like, we're all in these different time zones, places, playing the same game and communicating." Not that I could understand like a smidge, but
That's awesome.
it's still fun.
Yeah, so I'm thoroughly enjoying my time and glad to hear that Kim and Britt, you both are enjoying your time as well. Surely more Monster Hunter talk to come in the future weeks, but I do want to hear from Kim about Final Fantasy 15 Pocket Edition. Now, I wasn't particularly jazzed about jumping into Final Fantasy 15, though Britt has pretty much convinced me that I need to go back and play it now that almost all of the major story DLC has been released. But when they showed the first screenshots and video of Pocket Edition, I was like, these chibi boys are too cute to resist. So tell me, how is
what's
it?
impressed me most about it is it really is like almost like they say it's a retelling of 15 stories, but I mean they don't miss a beat. Like as somebody who played through the first game and just playing through it, like all my memories of the important parts are still there. Like you're not losing anything. What you do lose by playing on mobile, unfortunately for me, is the awe and wonder of the world, because they just can't really make a world look as mesmerizing, or there's just not as much to do in it as 15 had, obviously, when they're doing it to phone. But I was actually pretty impressed with how they did transition it to mobile. It's very, like I said, true to the game, to the original game. It has all the banter of the guys that we love, and even like the battles are just fun because so basically you're in control of Noctis and he will auto attack, and then like the only time you really have to lift a finger is if you're going to do a parry, or if you want to like engage activate one of your support members skills, and then you just like flick to do your warp strike forward, which works a lot better than the actual warp strike works in the game. So it's like I was telling people, if you haven't played Final Fantasy and you're just 15, and I think it's an important game for the series because although they didn't hit everything out of the park, like they needed to take those risks and chances and start learning how to do other things. And I think they learned a lot from that project of having what they do well and where they need to improve. And so for me, 15, I think it's one of the best recent casts we've had in a Final Fantasy in a long time. I also think it tells an emotional story very well by kind of making you connect to them and have Noctis' story matter. So if you haven't played it and you're just like, I don't, I want something more casual and I can just pick up and play here and there, like that's absolutely who it's for. And even for like people who've played it and just want to relive like some of the best moments of that game.
Go through and just chibi yourself to death with Final Fantasy Pocket Edition. Is it available on iPad as well, or is it just iPhone and Android? Obviously,
They said iPad too, Android, and I think they're bringing it to PC, but I think PC is going to hit a little bit later.
So how do you, because Final Fantasy 15 is such an emotional story, and I've talked about this on the show as much as I can without spoiling everything. And it has its super happy, cheerful moments, but overall, it's a very sad story. And I'm worried that impact will be lost when you have just like these super cute, they're adorable, don't get me wrong, little chibi characters. Do you think it's worth telling people, like Steimer was asking about it, she's like, maybe I'll just play the Pocket Edition. I'm like, no. I'm like, you have to play the full thing so you get all of those emotional, facial movements and the beautiful cut scenes. You know what I'm saying, Kim? Can you hear me, Kim? She's just smiling.
Kim, are you frozen? Kim, wave if you can hear us, Kim.
Are you guys breaking up as
Maybe,
well?
I guess.
For like you are.
Amazing. Can you hear me now, Kim?
I can hear you, but you guys were like stuttering
Oh, okay.
throughout
So
that.
Britt was asking, she was saying that she was trying to convince Steimer, who was like, maybe I'll just skip the console edition and just go straight to Pocket Edition. But Britt was like, no, you're going to miss the emotion. You're going to miss the cutscenes. You're not going to get the drama. Do you think that they still come through in the Pocket Edition?
What's interesting about the Pocket Edition actually is that all the cutscenes there's still cutscenes there. They're fully voiced as well. I will admit, although that art style is cute, it also can look a little awkward sometimes in those scenes. Like just the faces don't look quite right. But I don't think you miss like the emotions of it by playing it this way. And I think it's there for people who want like an easier pick up to play experience where it's like even the upgrade system, the Ascension grid has been modified. Everything just works good for mobile. So if you want to play it on mobile, I say play it on mobile, especially if you're not going to play. If at one point you wanted to do console, I'd always push towards console because that's just I'm a console girl at heart, and
Royal Edition.
that's like just for the beauty of that world. And I think like yes, you still have massive monsters that are awesome to take down on that Pocket Edition, but there's something about that like HD console that you like, version that I think you can't miss. But
Or go full 8K on PC. Download that 150 gigabyte version of the game. Why not? Experience it in its true glory. Well, I'm definitely going to be checking out Pocket Edition. I'm just going to be honest, Britt. Don't be mad. I don't think I have time to go back and play the full console version. Maybe I'm still playing Final Fantasy IX. I've got a ways to go to make my way up to 15. But I do want to hear about your experience with some of these other amazing JRPGs. I mean, you've been dabbling in Xenoblade, in Lost Sphere, in The Men of Yoshiwara, with a parentheses OMG. Plus, of course, Shadow of the Colossus is out this week as well. So which one do you want to talk about first?
Oh man, I'm just living my best life right now. I love JRPGs, and I'm so happy that I'm balls deep into them again. Okay. Okay, excuse me. I'm ovaries deep into them.
Hey, you can be balls deep. There's no judgment here.
Absolutely not. So I am going to Kauai tomorrow, so I'm looking for something to play, which will be Thursday. I'm looking for something to play on the airplane, and I don't know if I can play Xenoblade Chronicles 2 on the Switch pad because it just the frame rate goes down and it's so I was like, all right, I'm gonna find something a little like easier, a little chill to pass the time on this long flight. So I downloaded oh god, what's the effing name? I just mentioned at the beginning of this, the one with the cat. It just came out on the Switch. Whatever. It's the cat trying to live its life. It's been talked about. Anyway, it's on the Switch. And then I also saw this game called The Men of Yoshiwara, Kikuya, and it's a dating sim. Now, I have never played like a real dating sim before. Oh, and Night in the Woods. That was the game I was talking about. And
Night in the Woods is great, by the way. Please play that.
That's the one I was trying. Yeah. The cat. All I know is there's a cat in it.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, Night in the Woods. Yeah, you need to play that. Oh, it's so good. Okay,
and so,
sorry. Go on.
No, I appreciate it. The only dating sim I've played has been Doki Doki Literature Club. Now, we all know, if you've played that game, it counts, but it almost doesn't count. So I see this game, and I download it, and it had really good reviews on Steam. So I'm thinking, like, okay, I'll give it a shot. And here's the story, straight off the Steam page. A closed island where baby boys are not born. It's a unique culture that is completely different from the mainland. It has been flourishing on the island. In the middle of the island, there's a district where men are gathered. Some women just want children. Others are looking for love. Knowingly deceived by a lie and deceived in return. All in all, a single night's dream. At the end, to whom is it that you'll be taking on talking of love? No,
What is even happening in this description?
Like, I have to buy this now, right? I'm pretty sure that's what you're feeling.
I don't know. Like, it sounds like you're reading a single line from like multiple different shows that are just being mashed into a single paragraph.
Well, yeah. So on that note, the translation it's okay, but there's a lot of punctuation errors, a lot of grammatical errors sometimes. And I didn't read this until after I played it on the Steam page. This game is for you if you want to fall in love with hot men, you like romance. You like you like romance novels, manga, or dramas. You like historical stories. You like romance games. Okay, so
Oh my god.
so I didn't know what to expect going into this. So this game takes place in Yoshi something or another. I just skimmed a lot of this.
Yoshiwara.
And there's a male brothel there, and all these women, like there's no men board on the island, and you are a single young teenager who has to make a delivery to this brothel, and in doing so, all of these men flock to you, and you're basically a horny teenager. Let's just put it out there. And and I've never played a dating sim before, and I don't know what to think. I mean,
It's serious business. Understand this. Like, and you can't romance everyone. They get mad. You do not get the best ending if you romance everyone. So just be aware. You need to pick, girl.
but that's the thing is, you so how it worked is at the beginning, it's like, okay, what kind of man is your fancy? The brothel manager's asking you, and then you can choose from like 7 different guys, and then you choose one guy, and then the story just follows that guy only, and you make decisions, and the better decisions you make, your likability percentage goes up. But there's never an opportunity to be with other guys. So I don't know if this is the norm for dating sims, or if I'm just down another weird dating sim path of life, and I'm clueless.
You might be. Usually the point of the dating sim is you have multiple options before
Right?
you.
Yeah, so no.
I feel like you're
it
kind of
was-
getting cheated, honestly. Because who just is like, there's one person, now just follow him. Like,
Yeah, yeah, and none of the guys were that attractive. They all looked kind of strange to me. And so I'm just like, I did it. I'm broadening my horizons, like I said. So if you
they said
find
they promised hot men.
they what?
They
They
promised
did.
hot men.
They
like,
promised
the
hot
advertisement
men.
is a lie.
Yeah, they look a little alien-y. They're just, like, I mean, I like the cute like JRPG
I mean,
like
let's
style.
be honest,
like,
isn't that all anime?
girl, I will fight you. Trunks DBZ, the purple-haired wonder. He
I'm just
looks like
saying the proportions are off in a lot of those characters. They look like they're not like have human skeletons.
Yeah, they're all like Slender Man skeletons. They're all really tall and lanky.
Something that is worth noting is that this game actually came out for PC in 2015 and is now just on Switch. But
Yeah.
more importantly, I'm sure people out there are screaming in their cars as they're listening, Britt, why aren't you downloading Celeste for Switch if you needed a game to play on your flight?
Because Celeste is Jason's treadmill game, and I've watched him play a lot. Like, he's probably like 3 or 4 hours into it. So I watch him play almost every day, and I would get too frustrated at that game. I think it would be fun for a little bit,
But you can turn the
he'll,
assist
like,
mode on.
I could, but he'll like the level will end, and it'll be like, you died 238 times, and I'm like, nope.
That's how I felt with Ori and the Blind Forest. I was like, I don't care.
So there you go. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Just have the Andrea Renee outlook of I don't care. But no, Celeste looks cute, but it's not the kind of game I want to relax on an airplane.
So instead,
yeah,
you're like, let's go with the romance game for women.
I mean, that's the best type of game to play on a plane. I do that all the time. I'm like, bring a visual novel style dating sim with me on planes because like it is just the best way to get through. And I've had lots of long flights to like Japan and stuff, and I'm like, this is amping me up for what I'm about to get into.
Yeah. But I'm always worried I'm gonna have like someone peering over and like looking at like my romance visual novel when
Can
it's
you
talking
get a
about some guy
privacy
licking-
screen for your Switch? Do those things
Right?
exist?
I need one. Because, like, I was playing Doki Doki Literature Club as well on the airplane, and I was like, oh, God, this is getting awkward. Hopefully this little child next to me isn't looking at my screen. And he was. So,
Not
ladies
safe
and
for
gentlemen
work.
of What's the Games, if you have any, like, romance sims, dating sims that you would recommend, Kim, you might have some, that, like, a true dating sim. And I'm not talking
I'm gonna
about
give
How to
you a
Full
list.
Pigeon. Okay.
She'll
wanna
give
try
you
it.
a
It's
list.
not about a pigeon, okay? I got the real men for you, okay?
Thanks, girl.
I've done a lot of research.
No, I want to know. I'm learning. The other game I played was Shadow of the Colossus, and it's funny because when we talked about this game with Steimer, she mentioned that she always feels bad when she stabs those. Is it colossi? Is that the
Colossi,
proper
yeah.
way? Colossi.
Yeah, lots of people say that, yeah.
And I was like, nah. Well, I cringe every time I stab one of those tall, buildy, rocky mother effers, and I feel bad. I feel worse stabbing them than I do the monsters in Monster Hunter.
Oh no,
And
really?
Monsters are mean. And
Yeah.
those guys, you're like, you're actually like majestic and
They're just big doofuses wandering around, and then they're going to attack you, and their eyes turn red, and it's kind of scary. What's fascinating for me, because I had never played this game before, is you would never know this game originally launched 13 years ago. With this fresh coat of paint, it's unreal. Like it's just, you would never know. And I wish I would have played it back in the day, because now I understand why people's minds were probably blown. It's pretty cool. I'm digging it.
That's awesome.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't gotten a chance to play it yet because last night I decided to play Paragon, and this wasn't, I didn't intentionally choose to play Paragon over playing Shadow of the Colossus. One of my good friends, the man who officiated John and I's wedding, he had his 40th birthday. He's going on a fancy trip to Iceland to celebrate next month, but on his actual birthday, he was like, all I want to do is play video games online with my friends. Like, that's what I want to do on my birthday. So he set up a event on PlayStation, because on PlayStation Network, you can set up an event with your friends, and they can, with a specific game, and you can like all RSVP online and everything. It was really cool. And so we were supposed to play Battlefront 2. And, of course, some of his friends, being the douchebags they bailed. And I was like, dude, it's his fucking birthday. What are you doing bailing? Don't bail. But it worked out to my benefit, because his friends bailed, instead of playing Battlefront 2, which, let's be honest, I have not played multiplayer in Battlefront 2 for months? He was like, how about we just play some Paragon instead? And I was like, yes, this is the best. Let's do it.
And don't feel bad, because that game ain't going to exist much longer, girlfriend. You got to get all the time in that you can.
It's very obvious, though, that the wait times have already started to increase with matchmaking. But we went 5 for 5. We won all 5 of our matches. And I was like, that's never happened where I've won 5 in a row. I was feeling really good. And I brought out one of my legacy characters, Gadget. She's one of my faves, so I mastered her. But in the new updates, she hasn't been, as useful, but I crushed with her. So I don't know if it's just because I finally have gotten a handle on the card system and the gem system, but I had a ton of fun playing with him. He was playing jungle, I was playing mid lane caster, and we were just playing with a bunch of randoms, and we just had a really great time. So I have #no regrets about not getting to Shadow of the Colossus yet, but I'm really looking forward to jumping in and playing it. And John also has been playing Celeste, speaking of spouses playing the games that we were supposed to play. So I've been watching him play, but I hate that I'm going to say this, and please don't be mad at me, guys, for listening or we're watching. The art style turns me off. And I know that the story is supposed to be amazing, and that the platform is supposed to be really well done. I'm just so done with this 8-bit, 16-bit retro pixel art style. I'm just so done with it. So many people have done it. It just continues to show up, and I don't know if it makes sense. And I've heard that a lot of the way that the game design is worked, it really interweaves with the overall storytelling in a very comprehensive way, and that I should just get over this ridiculous problem I have and just play it. And I'm going to. Don't worry. I'm going to play it before the end of the year. I just instantly see the art style, and I'm like, I just don't like it. Why?
See, I see the frustration, and I'm like, nope. Don't need that in my life right now.
Well, I need to praise the team, though, for their amazing assist mode. This idea that we've talked about, stop making your game. This is what I griped about with Cuphead. Was it was so frustratingly difficult on some of the levels. I was like, why don't you just make it easier or make an easier mode? And they're like, well, normal is easy mode. I go, normal's not fucking easy in Cuphead. Get out of here. It's ridiculous. And so, that's what I love about Celeste from what I've seen so far, is that their assist mode options have made it incredibly accessible for people who don't have the twitch reflexes, for people who don't have the time to do the levels over and over again, for people who don't have the ability, maybe they're using a modified control scheme, and that's what I think should be applauded, because I wish more developers would take notes from their playbook and say, hey, you know what? We're going to handcraft a game experience. And this is the game experience that we would like you to have. But we get that there are millions of kinds, billions of kinds of people in the world. And not everybody is going to be able to have that experience. But we still want you to see this incredible game that we built. And because of that, we're going to give you stamina. We're going to give you ways to jump and ways to have infinite lives and ways to complete the game that isn't going to feel frustrating for you. And we want you to know that's okay. And we're not going to make you feel bad about it. And I want to say, good job. You guys fucking killed it.
Mode.
Yeah. They're not
That's what we
talking
call
down to you for using those modes. And that's to be applauded. And I want to give them a big hats off for that, for sure.
Oh, that's great.
Sorry, I got on a soapbox there for a second.
No, that's fine.
It was beautiful. I loved it. It was a good soapbox to get on.
Yeah, and I mean, don't feel bad for not liking those old graphics. I mean, we grew up with them. Maybe you're just over them. Do you think that's what it is? Do you think you're just like over it? You just grew up with it. You're like, eh.
I think the thing is that so many indie developers in particular choose this art style. And one time I asked, I think it was either at GDC or maybe it was a Day of the Devs or something. I asked a dev, why they chose this particular art style. I was like, we're seeing a lot of this. I didn't tell him, I fucking hate your art style, Avi. I'm not stupid. But I was like, I framed it differently. I was like, so why did you choose this art style? And he was like, honestly, well, we like the art style, but realistically, it's something that's affordable for us as an indie team to be able for us to animate, because some of the other more intricate styles of animation require much more time and a different level of skill. And, we had this idea for gameplay, and we thought that this was the best way we were going to be able to execute it with the resources we had. And I was like, that's a realistic answer. That's something that is absolutely understandable. It doesn't make me like the art style anymore, but at least I get why they chose it. But I just don't like it when it feels like they chose the art style because that's all that they knew or all that they wanted, and it doesn't make sense thematically with the game or narratively with what they're going for. And I think I'm just not as attracted to it because there's so many other kinds of art that's interesting. And I fully am disclosing that I get that I'm an anomaly. I get that lots of people out there really love this art style, that crave it, that seek out games with this art style. I get it. I don't know what it is. I just every time I see it, I'm like, oh great, another retro fucking video game. And I almost when we're at PAX or something, I almost won't even go up and give the game a chance if I see this art style. And I recognize that I have a problem. I don't know what to do about it.
It's fine. I personally love the retro art style. It reminds me of warm and cozy and nostalgic days. But there is an art style that I too am immediately turned off from, and I have to remind myself that it's not about the art. It's the I don't know if cartoony is the right word. I think the Behemoth puts out really fun games, but their art style, if you look at something called Pit People, it's a game, really fun game, but it's that kind of art style that turns me off as well. And it doesn't make any sense. I'm fully aware that I also have a problem. I feel you, girl. We all have our things. Don't be ashamed.
At the end of the day, you like what you like, right? Yeah. Don't feel ashamed about that. We're all, That's why there's so many different games and so many different, selections for us, which is awesome.
That's true. Well, thanks. Thanks for making me not feel too terrible about it. But we're going to go ahead and wrap up this segment of the show, even though we could keep talking about some other stuff that we've been playing, because we want to get to know Kim. So in the next segment, we're going to learn about what she does at Game Informer, talk about some of her favorite RPGs, and a whole lot more. So stick with us, everybody. We're going to take a short break, and then we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us. So obviously you've been listening to our special guest, Mrs. Kimberley Wallace, all show. We haven't gotten a chance yet in the show to talk about what you do. So you're technically the features editor over at Game Informer. Game Informer known for their amazing cover stories, these deep dives into brand new games that are coming out or into new features of games. So clearly you have a hand in that as the features editor. What does a features editor technically do?
A little bit of everything and then some. The way that I look at my job is I'm there to help people, formulate their ideas and make them the best possible, you know, that they can be. Honestly, at the end of the day, nothing feels better for me when like there's a problem in a feature and I sit down with the editor and we figure it out together, and it's like a big victory lap. I have a big background just in writing in general. I mean, I went to school for journalism and English, and I've got also uh, creative writing emphasis, if you want to call it that. But so it's like I've studied all these styles, and I kind of know features has always just been something that I just naturally gravitated to because I think I like to tell stories personally. And so when this opportunity came around for this position, like I knew that it'd be challenging, but it would be something that I'd be really good at. And honestly, my days are spent in a lot of editing, a lot of behind the scenes stuff you do not see. Um, it's not something that like is by any means easy. I mean, I always have to critique people. I have to have conversations. We have to decide what's the best way to frame a feature, which is difficult because sometimes people have a really good idea, and you're just like, that's such a good idea, but we have to figure out how we're going to make this digestible online or in the magazine and vice versa. So, I mean, there's just like a lot of discussions that happen in general. And like I said, it is by far like moving into features has been the best thing for me. I love it. It is like my happy place. I like helping people get their ideas off the ground. I like writing them. I like coming up with ideas. But you also are like the answer person at every point in turn. Which when I first got the position, I like was going like, oh my god, everybody, I have to have the answer. What if I can't find the answer? But I always do. But it's just like sometimes in the moment you'd be like, I know this isn't working, but like, oh man, I had to figure out a way to fix it. And that's part of the fun, right? Is the challenge of that. So I do a lot of that at Game Informer. I also, as we've talked about, gravitate towards doing a lot of our RPG coverage because that's honestly what I grew up playing and am most skilled at. And, I have my own RPG column that I do every other week. So that's fun too. I guess.
So did the RPG column come about from something that you pitched, or did someone on staff say, hey, we have a need for this?
Columns were interesting because I was doing like my own kind of, and I was doing it as more of a live show of just streaming me playing like old RPGs and talking about them because I was like, oh, that sounds really fun. And then we were discussing that we wanted to try columns on the site just as something different and fresh for our readers so they would have something to keep coming back to. So it was more of like an experiment. And so I was like, it's like, of course Kim's going to do an RPG column. Like there was not even, I don't even think there was a discussion. It was just like, this is what it's going to be. And so, like I said, we have a sports column, we have a humor column. We also have the virtual life, which delves into like the real issues that games and the feelings that they produce from us, which is really interesting. And we have a sci-fi column. So those are the ones we're running. Oh, and a board game one. Gosh, we've got everything. Hey.
All of the columns.
No, I really love Game Informer, and I'm not just saying that as somebody who used to get paid by GameStop, who also owns Game Informer. So full disclosure, but I have a bunch of your copies like here on set that I just love keeping around because like I just can't get rid of them. Because what I love about the work that you guys do over there is that you are able to get access to these development studios that so few other media teams out there get access to because you guys have such a legacy. And the work that goes into these features, in the spreads and the cover stories and stuff, like is so in depth that like it's just like it's page turning for me almost. And like I know that like you guys really are big on the digital edition now, but I look forward to getting my physical copy in the mail. It's just that makes me weird.
I have a collection of Game Informer magazines actually in one of my rooms, spanning like I don't know how long, like years and years and years and years. Like for a while I collected Game Informer magazines, and I can't get rid of them. Like Andrea said, there's something like cathartic about opening an issue and just kind of flipping through the pages. It's good stuff.
And the smell of paper.
I agree with you. I rather have a physical issue than a digital of it. But people have the option either way. Interesting enough, I think cover stories are probably the most taxing but most satisfying thing that we do. It's really cool to get access to a studio and just see a game that you're excited about getting made before you, and seeing them put it together in the stages, and then just talking to like the team about like what it's always so insightful and enlightening, and I love when I get to do them but they're also like, we have to turn them around really fast, which is also like,
I bet.
I basically get back and I have to like write and get it done so it can ship. So they're a lot of work, but they're a lot of fun. And I feel like it also gives you a chance to kind of like realize the people who are behind these games, who are making them, and learn about them and learn what their goals are and how they feel. It's just a fun. It's my favorite part of the job, probably, in addition to those features we do, which I guess they kind of cross in together, so it makes sense.
Do you have a particular game or project that you worked on in the past that was kind of a fangirl moment for you, or something that you were like, I can't believe I actually did this?
You'll love this. I really embarrassed our other editor, Joe Juba, on my first cover story trip, because my first cover story trip was Dragon Age Inquisition.
Awesome.
And I got to just meet with all the writers and talk about romances, and all I kept going on was like, is Varric going to be a romance option? He should be a romance option. Yeah, let's not. He's awesome. I love my Varric.
I love him. He's married to his crossbow though, and that's bullshit.
Well, yeah, you're never gonna, drink. But I was just like, because I just kept coming from this place of like, this is what I want to know, and like it was cool. It's like I'm suddenly in BioWare studios. I'm talking to the people and make my favorite characters, like, and then I just embarrassed everybody with the romance talk. But it had to be done. Everybody counts on me to get those. I got the like scoop for like Mass Effect Andromeda too, because I'm like, oh, we are talking about romance.
Heck yeah, you are.
It is important.
It is. It's a staple of those franchises as well, right? Like, I'm always about it for the romance. Because it's like, okay, who am I going to bang? I wish Steimer were here for this conference. I mentioned Steimer a lot during this podcast. I miss Steimer. Because we always talk about the banging and who we're going to bang, and she has a super crazy obsession with Colin and Kate. And anyway, it's very, very important.
Too. Colin is the best husband.
Best husbando. Alistair from Dragon Age Origins, but I won't. Kim, we have a lot of people wanting to know, what is your favorites RPG?
Okay, so this is a personal one for me. It's Secret of Mana, and it is because
dying
it
inside.
Is how. So long story short, my grandpa and I grew up with my grandpa playing RPGs. Like, he was a cool grandpa who, like, when he got old, he's like, I want to keep my mind going, and I just want to play these games. And so we were both realized, we were talking one day that we were playing Secret of Mana, and this was really cool. And then he had a heart attack, and so sadly died. And I went back to his place in Florida, and I saw Secret of Mana in his Super Nintendo, and I picked it up and I finished his save file.
Your story really resonates with me.
It's so amazing.
My grandma. Go ahead. Sorry, Kim.
No, you go. You can. He even, like, at the time, is just like, he wasn't able to finish it, so I wanted to finish it for him, and I will always have that connection and game with him. And I kind of like, I will give my grandpa kudos. Like, he is why I got into the genre and why I am so passionate about it. And that was one of the ones for us that we really bonded over.
Oh, that is so sweet. anyway, I'm not gonna cry. Your story really resonates with me because my grandma is who got me into JRPGs and got me into RPGs, and she still plays games. And matter of fact, right now she's playing Secret of Mana on the SNES Classic. Like that's the game she's currently playing. Yeah, so I'm like, oh my god, that is incredibly sweet. That is a very sweet story. That's
Yeah, so that's the reason why that always ranks as my number one. God, I'm a big fan of Persona 3, probably more than most people, because I feel like that game just blew me away when I played it at the time. Obviously, we know I love my Kingdom Hearts. I miss the Suikoden series dearly.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that series.
I could go on and on, jeez.
What about Final Fantasy? Let's talk about that.
Which ones are my favorites?
Yeah.
6. Obviously, definitely. I go back and forth with 4. I really like 10. I feel more than most people. I just really thought that world building in that game and going into that was really cool at the time. I think those are top 3 probably. I have probably 9 then. I'm very weird on my rankings, but
that's Britt's favorite. So I've been playing through it on PS4. My first Final Fantasy.
Alexa and I have convinced her to play Final Fantasy IX as her first Final Fantasy, Kim. It's a glorious time. Ask her what she named her characters, Kim.
What'd you name your characters?
So I named Zidane JT for Justin Timberlake. I named Vivi MJ for Michael Jackson.
No, you can't change Vivi's name. It's a crime. No.
I named Steiner the Hoff for David Hasselhoff. And I named Garnet Kesha.
Kim was trying, if you're not watching us on youtube.com/whatsgoodgames, Kim was trying to drink her wine to forget about this travesty that Andrea's talking about.
I didn't know, Kim. I didn't know that I wasn't supposed to rename them. I told Britt on the show afterwards that this was a mistake. I should have kept them with their original names.
The Kesha one just really got me.
It does make for really interesting dialogue scenes, though.
Oh man, it is sad. Kim, I love my RPG fans. Breath of Fire. Are you a fan of that series?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So how do you feel about Breath of Fire 5?
It's not my favorite. Don't get mad.
No. That's a very good answer. I hated it. So your answer is a lot more PC than mine.
I was trying to be kind to you in case you liked it a lot and just like temper how I felt about it. Yeah, it's God, you could probably ask me about anything. We'd probably be on similar. Like, God, Earthbound was one of my favorites growing up. Yeah, check this out.
Are you okay, Britt?
I was so cool when I was in middle school playing Earthbound that I made my own AOL fan club, and my screen name was Polygal EB. So
I've always loved you, Kim, but I love you so much more now. I didn't think it was possible. No, I've been trying to get the girls to play Earthbound. It's my favorite Super Nintendo title. It's one of my favorite games of all time. It's just such a fantastic game, and
we're having a love connection here, man.
I know. Who? Andrea? Who? But where's Andrea?
You don't need me, guys. I'll just slowly back away.
So here's it, because everyone knows you as the RPG master. If someone like Andrea wanted to get into her first JRPG, like what would be a good starting point for her, you think? Besides Final Fantasy IX, which let's be honest, probably not the best starting point, but
I think it depends where you want to go and how you want to look at it. If you want to go something more classic or more modern, classic, I always say like you can never go wrong with Chrono Trigger. It is like probably the one that has aged the best through time, but I always want to recommend Persona games to people, and then I get scared that they're going to look at the time investment and just because it is. But gosh,
I think here's my problem with JRPGs is it comes back to this weird art style thing that I have going on. A lot of like anime art style just doesn't speak to me. And so it's hard for me to get into these characters and want to spend like 50 to 100 hours in these games. And so like Persona in particular, I'm like, I have like I just don't have any. Don't be mad. I just don't have any desire to play Persona. I just don't.
It's just so cool. Come on.
Oh, she's holding up one of her statues. Go ahead, you could put her fully in frame.
Display her.
I don't know. My girls keep falling down.
Is that what she said? Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yukiko.
So Andrea, so like Final Fantasy 15 art style doesn't turn you off, does it? Or does it?
It kind of does. The guys feel almost a little too androgynous for me. Not that that's a bad thing. Again, just not for me.
Okay. I can't think of any that. So
we'll take it.
We'll take it. Okay.
I do want to go back and play Chrono Trigger because I know it's like one of the greats, and I have my SNES Classic Edition, so I could play it there. I don't know. This is why, I play what I play and you play what you play, because when we come together, we all have like a little experience in different things.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's been the same for me. I think I've played RPGs for so long, and just because I always had one to play, and we hit that PS2 era where they just come in waves and you couldn't even keep up. It was insane.
Yes.
And when we got to the PS3 era, sadly, it was not the same. You didn't get them as much, and that forced me to like try out different genres and really pull away from, because for me it was always JRPGs and survival horror as I was growing up, and that was just like it. Then when we got into that, I started mixing and matching more, and my biggest surprise I think in this generation is that I frickin' am addicted to Overwatch in such an unhealthy way, and I didn't see that coming because I hate playing games with people. I'm an RPG player. I'm a solo, like, do my own adventure,
Yep.
And I love that game to pieces. So it really is interesting to watch how you kind of change your game tastes through the years. And, now I play a little bit of everything. But yeah, I was definitely a big RPG. Like, that was all that I would play back in the day. Well, they had them, more frequently. Now I feel like it's really hard to make a good RPG. I am a big fan of The Witcher 3. That's probably one of my favorites.
I mean, they kind of set the bar, right?
They set that bar so high that, like, when they come up with Cyberpunk, I'm like, I don't know. Like, can they, like, how do you top Witcher 3? Like, and what I like about that, too, is they could have just done the next Witcher game, and they'd been fine. People would have been fine with that. They would have been happy, but they're trying something different. I think we don't get a lot of developers who do have the luxury to experiment and try different things, and, like, that's why I'm happy that Bioware, whether it's going to be a success or not, is at least trying something with Anthem. I just feel like they need a break from Mass Effect and Dragon Age, because it's like, you can only, I know it hurts me too, but it's like, I don't want to burn them out, like, maybe I just feel too much. I don't know. But thinking about it from their perspectives, like, it's got to be creatively refreshing to work on a different project and kind of like reamp and see what works and what doesn't. But I feel like no game, I feel like, in this past generation has done what The Witcher 3 has done in any capacity, on, like, just with choice, going through that world, the scope, just telling a really compelling story within it. Like, I liked there's stuff that those characters did that drove you nuts, but then you also just had a, like, infinity for people you wouldn't think. It was actually funny enough that I actually reviewed that for us, right? And we got the game, and I had a week to play it. And all I did, and this was my job, was just to stay home and play Witcher 3, which, like, someday, like, it's not always like that, but I'm gonna say some days I have most of the time, a really, really awesome job. It's also really, really tough work. But I remember Andy teasing me. He's like, how are you still not done with that game yet? And I was like, Andy, have you seen how big this freaking game is?
Yeah,
like, and I
huge.
did a bunch of the side content too. Like, I didn't skimp on any of the side quests. I didn't do all of them at the time for the review, but I did a good chunk of them. And I got through that. I loved it so much that sometimes when I get a review assignment, it starts to wear, or you're like, this feels like work. That never felt like work to play. I just wanted to play it. And it's like one of my favorite moments, I think, in reviewing, where I was just like, okay, this is what it's about when you get those games that you just cannot put down,
That's
Living
so
the
awesome to
dream.
hear. Yeah, my sister has played through The Witcher 5 times on like each of the difficulty levels because she loves it so much. But I'm hoping against hope that we're going to see Cyberpunk take it the trend that we saw from Guerrilla Games. Talk about a studio that hadn't made that kind of a genre game before. I mean, coming from, like Resistance, like a first-person shooter, going into a third-person open world, action adventure game. Maybe, CD Projekt Red will follow suit.
Did you read my mind? Because as I was talking about games that I really loved and like that I didn't want to put down, my next thought was to talk about Horizon, and I just like stopped myself because I was like, Kim, it's too much, and then you
You've
bring up
come-
Guerrilla Games, it's like you knew I
You've
was
come to
thinking
the
about
right
it.
place, my friend. Andrea Renee has
I
been
will-
like preaching the word of Horizon Zero Dawn since we launched this podcast.
Yeah,
I have yet to finish
Hey,
it.
Brittney,
You haven't played.
have you played Horizon yet, Brittney?
I played it a little bit, but I think I have to start over. A lot of people said you don't have to start over. I'm like 10 hours in, Kim, and what happened is I set it down because something else came out.
Nope. Go back, please.
See,
I'll
thank
tell
you,
you
Kim. This
something
is
that
what
I
I've been trying to
noticed,
tell
'cause
her.
I've been going through it again, and it's something that I've appreciated the more that I've played it. I don't think, and maybe this is just like our generation and growing up, like I was not exposed to many like women protagonists like Aloy, who just is like, I'm confident and I know my shit and you can't tell me what to do otherwise. I'm going to do what I would. Like, no second guessing, no, like, she is just very comfortable with who she is and what she wants to do. And I just love that about her character, because it's never, from a bad spot. It's always just like, no, she's confident in her abilities. And I like seeing confident women on screen. I think that's, something I didn't get enough when I was growing up seeing. So I hope more to take cue, not to go on a soapbox rant about it. But it's not even just that. It's just like the whole game is just the world, like taking down the machines and everything, though. It's just so I just loved it. It scratched every itch for me. It was my game of the year last year. It was.
So
I put
good.
that over Persona 5, which like people are like, oh no, she didn't. Oh
Britt,
yes, I did.
see, Britt, why aren't you doing it?
It's the trees, man. It's all the trees. No, there's a joke, Kim, that anyway, we don't have to rehash that. I need to get back into it. What I did play of it, I really did enjoy. I was super into it. I love the characters. It's a problem I have in sandboxy games where it's like you let me go, and if I don't have, like, if it's not super linear in the get-go, like I branch off, I do side quests, and then I lose interest in the main story, and it's something I've done my whole life, and it sucks. But
it's very easy to do that with Horizon. I did that. I was like, oh, I think I'm just gonna go and get every little thing that I can possibly do, and that's what took me so long. But I wanted to. I mean, go with what you want,
No, this would actually be a really good time to jump into it, because there's not a heck of a lot coming out anytime soon other than Far Cry 5 that I'm really excited about. So I should probably jump on it.
You
Get
should.
on it. You can stop playing other bad games and go for that.
I know what game you're
you.
talking about, Kim.
Thank
you and I talked about
you,
this. You're not a fan of
Kim.
Lost Sphere.
Nope. I had to
playing
review
that.
that. It's just, I thought they would have learned from, because I Am Setsuna set them down with a good foundation, and I thought they would have filled in the missing pieces from that had, and like do something different. And the game just has no soul. And I just like,
No, that's complete. It's missing that spark, that charm that RPGs of old had. I know what they're going for, and I really appreciate that. But and the story's not half bad in my opinion. They just needed to take it like a step forward. And these, anyway, yeah, I talked about this on last week's show.
Yeah.
It's not terrible. It's just
no,
I'm
it's
getting
definitely
to a
not the
point
worst, but
where I'm feeling a little bored with it, and I think
Yeah.
it's You get it, girl.
I get it, especially on like a review deadline schedule. Believe me, I get it.
So Kim, if people want to, follow what you're doing on Game Informer or hear more about the work that you're doing, where's like a good place for people to go for that?
Probably Twitter. Um, at KSTAR 1785 on there. I have an RPG column, obviously. That's GameInformer.com, and you just do RPG grind time as a after this. Yeah, it's on the site. So, and you can get an archive of just like every one I've done before. Like I said, just keep visiting Game Informer. Keep up with the magazine. We have our 300th issue coming up, which we're super excited for.
Yay! So
and we're
exciting.
working on right now, and we're throwing a big party, and like everyone's invited. So that's up on Twitter right now. So we're gonna celebrate big.
I was telling her I got the invite, but it's in Minneapolis, and I'm just like, oh, I don't think I can make it. But I want to. But I am gonna see I'm gonna see Andy and Reiner, so Andy McNamara and Andrew Reiner at DICE, because I'm doing a roundtable at DICE this year, which is exciting. So and we had I don't think we were ever at a GameStop manager show at the same time, but you go to that every year and do autographs now, right?
Yeah, actually, I have done that. We were one year because I was on the years when you were hosting.
Oh, the year that I co-hosted with Jeff?
Yeah, because that was when we did our Dark Souls cover reveal, and then we went up for a little bit. I only remember this vaguely because at the time we had to sit there and wait, and I was like, oh, Andrea does a really good job at this stuff. So
yeah, she does.
Yeah, it just kind of stuck out in my mind. But yeah, I've been doing that every few years, which is it's nice. It's nice to go out and have people tell you that they appreciate your work. Obviously, I always tell people that it's like never just assume that. It's never a bad thing to tell somebody if you like what they do. I mean, I feel like there's so much like negativity sometimes in this world that like I don't think people understand sometimes how nice that is to hear, every so often.
Yeah, a simple good job goes a long way. Absolutely. Well,
for sure.
This has been an absolute delight having you on the show. Do you have any parting thoughts or words or any projects you have coming up or personal things you would like to promote on the show?
She puts you on the spot.
I know, right? I could have thought about this. I'm always just kind of in this. I'm always doing something, so it's like I'm always spinning 5 plates, I feel like. So it's just I would just keep an eye out. If you are a fan of RPGs, like I said, I talk to death about them. Also, you should check out my Yoko Taro interview on Game Informer because it's one of my favorite interviews I've ever done. It's hilarious.
Nice.
It's always those good moments that you just like you look back and you're like, oh, I really like this piece or like this came together well. But yeah, I would just. I'm just hoping that I just keep my one goal for myself is always it's never about me. It's about putting out the best possible content that I can. And for me, it is I never rush through a story. I'm very much about listening to people and getting the full information. And, I'm not just here to kind of slide through this because I got into the lottery of being a game journalist. Like it really matters to me, and so I hope to write stories and that they show and match through that. And I think there's a lot of positivity in gaming that gets unnoticed, and that's unfortunate too. So I try to balance that stuff out, but we'll see. I mean,
amen.
Who knows? Stay tuned.
Amen.
You're great at what you do.
Heck
Thank
yeah.
you.
Are you going to come to PAX East?
No.
Oh, sad face. Well,
I know I'm not even gonna be at GDC this year. Break my heart, but
E3 though, we'll see you for sure.
Maybe.
What?
We always need people to stay back. I registered. I'm
okay.
I'll put in the good word with the Andes and be like, yo, you gotta send KSTAR. You gotta send her.
Well, tell them. They like, why isn't she not at these shows? We need the KSTAR.
Heck yeah. I got your back, girl.
We just need to like hang out and play a freaking game together. Like, I would love if I'm ever in the area to just like.
You are welcome to come to the studio anytime. Literally anytime.
Nice.
If we're here, you can come. It'll be great. We would love to have you. Thank you so much for coming on the show this week and sharing your love of RPGs and your knowledge and giving us some insight into what you do at Game Informer. As you heard her say, you can find her in all of those various places. But of course, if you guys want to help support what Kim does, get a subscription to Game Informer. It is some of the best print work that you're going to find, not only in video games, but in print magazine work at large. They really do a fantastic job over there, and I appreciate everything that you guys do. Thank you so much for watching the show this week. Steimer will be back from vacation next week. We are just in time for us to talk about Valentine's Day, Steimer's least favorite holiday of the year.
I love her.
Last week she talked at length about how February was her least favorite month. But until then, have a fantastic weekend, everyone. Thanks for listening. Take care. Have a good one.